So I think Eileen, maybe we start slowly. For those who are already there, a warm pre-holiday season greetings. We certainly missed the red hat. It is a pleasure to welcome you all to another VICToRY stakeholder meeting. So after we had a little break, the last meeting was in person on the European Burn Association meeting in Nantes, which was wonderful. I always enjoy to meet everyone in person as often as even possible. And once again, thanks Nadia for making this happen in Nantes. Today, I'm very happy that Eileen is taking over the lead for this meeting. So we will kind of co-chair this year and to give you kind of update about the operational progress. Thank you, Maureen, Shauna, Ellen, for leading us through the difficulties to figure out ways to overcome the frequent hurdles which we are facing as part of the clinical conduct. And we try to draft an agenda which is of interest for you, not only to update you about the current progress as part of this clinical trial, but as well to inform you about some a recent publication which was out, because we think it's important that we know as well that we are all aware of some controversies in the field, which we should know as part of our clinical as part of this clinical trial right now. But as well, it's we should be the best informed people about this topic here. And yeah, so Maureen, do you have the agenda that we can briefly show it here? Or Eileen, do you have
Yes,
it?
absolutely. Yep.
That would be very, very nice. So I think overall, this meeting will take 45 minutes, and we will talk about the operational updates. We will briefly talk about the current status of the CITES submission, which is of relevance for the European colleagues who are eagerly waiting to participate in this clinical trial. And so after this, I appreciate that Eileen will give us an update about current discussions about vitamin C. So we have to discuss the results of the COVID study, which has been published in October. Then Maureen and Shauna will share an operation update, and then we can talk about some upcoming deadlines, meetings, and so. And if there's anything which you would like to discuss, or which came to your attention, or which you would like to suggest, please feel free to share it in the chat. And with this, I would open the first topic of today's meeting. So it is a more informative exchange about the actual status of the CITES submission, which is unfortunately very complex. So and I'm very grateful for the work which you are doing here, Ellen. So to bring together the different protocol versions. So right now we are in Europe in the transition phase from the phase 2 to the phase 3 of this clinical trial. It took us a lot of effort to make it happen. But the advantage is that we have a centralized approach. We are submitting all documents to one platform. This is CITES. It is a platform from the European Medical Agency, which is handling this clinical trial from the regulatory perspective. And we sent back already, so we received already feedback from CITES, and at least we have some good news to share that the last step before we are submitting the other countries, Italy, France, Portugal, and Poland is at least
Spain.
approved. Spain, thank you. It is at least approved already in Belgium, and we are just waiting for the German approval here so that we can proceed. So therefore, the timelines here, I hope that we hear back from the regulatory authorities this week, next week, latest January 10th, I think so. This is the last deadline. So, but I was very happy when we received the positive feedback from the Belgium regulatory authorities last Friday. And yeah, so I am pretty optimistic. Actually, I'm really waiting each day for some good news here. But when we cautiously think about what will happen next, so Shauna and Maureen collected already all documents from the interested and in future participating sites in France, in Italy, in Spain, Portugal, and Poland. So all of this is more or less set. Ellen was so kind as well to collect the necessary documents for 2 additional German sites, which will be submitted as well as part of this very big and significant submission process. So after all of this, we will have a lot of additional sites which can be part of this RCT here. And you cannot imagine how much work it is, but how much we are looking forward to this time point so that we can activate all of this. And I thank you very much for your patience with all of this. We really try to get it done, everything as soon as possible, but unfortunately we have to consider some timelines as well, which are not made by us, which are made by the regulatory authorities. But it's almost done, fingers crossed. Is there anything else which we should share about the CETIS submission process? Anything which is not clear for you as participating centers? Also,
Yes,
any questions?
Christian, there is a question from Declan Collins asking how is it going in the UK?
Yeah, Maureen, as you are, yeah, can I hand it over to you?
Absolutely. So we are still waiting on the University Hospital Birmingham to make changes to, I guess, the protocol before we can make the final submission to IRES and the MHRA. And so I unfortunately don't have a clear picture about what is happening there. I have had recent communications from them. We have actually talked about the possibility of maybe finding a different lead if they're unable to continue to support the process there. So I don't have clear answers for our UK participants. We are still trying to move the study forward there. It just seems to have stalled. And so as soon as we have a little bit more information, we'll let you know that. If there is someone who is on this meeting who's interested in their site, taking over the lead for that, then perhaps we could talk about it and see if we could make, things move more quickly. So just let us know.
All right, so Declan is writing, thank you. And if we need help, he's based in London, so he's kindly offering help with that. Thank you very much, Declan Collins.
Yeah. So that could be a possibility. So maybe we can talk offline about that.
Super. Are there any other questions regarding the planned or the actual status of the CETIS submission process? Again, my sincerest apologies, although it is not in our hands. Yeah, it's just a very, very complicated process in Europe in these days. You might have heard from some colleagues who are handling other drug-regulated trials that they are facing similar comparable problems. So even it's really a risk for clinical trials in Europe. I just have to say that. Yeah, so a lot of trials were not successful or just are stopping their activities here. But I think we are in a very good place to proceed very timely here. If there are any questions which may come after the meeting, please reach out to either Maureen, me, or anybody of this team. I'm very happy to take any questions, and yeah, very much looking forward to the submission of the next countries. With this, I would like to head over to Eileen, who already shared a link here in the chat room. I'm very excited about that. Eileen, stage is yours. Give us an update about the current status of vitamin C.
All right, thank you for the introduction. You should now be able to see an entire screen, right?
Perfect.
All right. Yes, thank you very much for me to have this opportunity to present some more recent literature on vitamin C. And I would very much like it if we had a discussion and not just presentation. So I invite you all to click on a link or use your cell phone and scan the QR code so we can have a bit of a discussion here. So let's just give this a try so everyone's getting familiar with the tool. The first question is, what day is today? I will start the question now, and you should be able to, check some boxes or something. And when you're done, you just click on vote, and once the survey is finished, then I can share the results on my screen. Okay, I'm gonna stop this for now. So yeah, you can see the results now loading, right? Can you give me feedback on that?
We're good.
Right. So we have 10 participants, and everyone said it's Monday. Good, you're oriented. That's good. So then we also have a different type of question, which is how are you feeling right now? And then you can enter text. I know that those of you who are on cell phones might be a bit more difficult for you than for those on the laptop, but I'm sure you will handle. Right. So someone's exhausted from a fully packed Monday. Thank you for being here anyways. Waiting for the coffee. Okay. So please get yourself some coffee. I don't mind. And it's good that everyone seems to handle the program nicely. So I would like very much to know what kind of stakeholder do you belong to? And that's a multiple choice question again, so that we for our next meetings we can maybe plan accordingly, and get to know if you have more scientific interest or more interested in the regulatory affairs of the trial. All right, so we have a majority of research coordinators. Ellen, would it be possible for you to make screenshots? Because I cannot see only your video, but I cannot handle all the. Oh, thank you so much. I cannot handle all the screens at once. All right.
Eileen, the meeting is also being recorded. I don't know if it will capture or if it's only audio.
Okay.
I'm not positive.
I think just to be safe, I think it would be it's good if Ellen just doing quick screenshots. That's of much help. Right.
Yeah,
so everyone's familiar now with how to use this. So I want to jump into the topic of vitamin C. So I want to know if vitamin C, if you think that vitamin C in critical illness in general is useful or not. What's your opinion on that? All right, so most of you think it might be useful, you don't know, or it's likely useful, and we've had 16 participants. Thank you, everyone who's joining in. So next is the question. That was the question if it's useful, but maybe it's harmful. It's not only not useful. So what do you think about harming your patients when you administer vitamin C? Wait, this is not running. Question not running. All right, let's try again. Program's working. Yes. So what's your pick on that?
It's not easy to decide between a little and maybe.
Okay, but still, most participants feel it's very safe or probably safe to give vitamin C to critically ill patients. Okay, and then before I go on to check the literature with you guys, what are your thoughts on vitamin C in burn patients right now? Are you doing that? How's it going? Do you see any risks that we have not yet discussed in the past meetings, or any other thoughts? Okay, so we've had the beneficial dose is most likely not adequate. It's easy to do. Many regulatory boards are looking at outdated information. Probably it's a good idea. It's going well, probably safe, working well. All right. So that was a difficult question. We've had only 6 people actually answer. So let's go ahead and I want to wrap up what happened in the past. I will go over this very quickly and just spend a bit more time on recent literature. So a couple of years ago, starting 2015, 17, we've had some observational studies from different working groups, and everyone agreed that vitamin C levels in critically ill patients was below what's recommended. So they had a hypovitaminosis C, and that was consistent in septic patients or in patients with cardiac surgery or with trauma patient. There was not really much data on burn patients. But there was a pilot study from the group of Alpha A. Fowler, and he had 24 patients with severe sepsis, and he had them treated with 50 milligrams per kilogram per day every 6 hours, so with a total dosage of 200 milligrams per day per kilogram. And he observed that this dosage was raising the plasma levels of vitamin C, and that the higher dosage was effective in reducing the overall SOFA score, which is a marker for organ dysfunction. So then there was this hypothesis established that a bit more high dose vitamin C might reduce organ dysfunction in the ICU. Based on that, there were quite a lot of randomized controlled trials. Some used also thiamine and hydrocortisone, but I just want to pick out here the citrus ali trial from the same working group. And they did the same study protocol in patients with sepsis and acute respiratory distress syndrome compared to placebo. That was published in a high-ranking journal, and they did not find a significant improvement on organ dysfunction, which was based on the previous observation with the SOFA score. But they did observe a difference in mortality in these patients. So that was basically a great success for vitamin C treatment. And based on that, there were a great many other vitamin C trials as well. So then last year in summer, and we've discussed this trial before, there was the LOVE-IT trial. And they had, that was a large multi-center trial with almost 900 patients. They were septic, and they were on vasopressor, so they had septic shock. They used the same study protocol, and they observed a higher risk of death and persistent organ dysfunction at 28 days. No difference in survival. And basically, that was consistent among the subgroups. But if you look at these components of persistent organ dysfunction, so like kidney failure and need for circulatory support or mechanical ventilation, these were not that different between the groups. So there was a great many discussions about the LOVE-IT trial. And then this was the trial that Christian was referring to. This was published in October this year. And this is a combined study of LOVE-IT COVID, same protocol, and the REMAP-CAP study. So two studies with the same protocol were kind of merged in one large publication. So that explains why they had this many ICU patients. So this is only critically ill patients with COVID-19. They used the same study protocol as before. And this trial was stopped after statistical triggers for harm and futility were met. So they concluded that vitamin C in this dosage has a low probability of improving organ function or improving organ function, organ dysfunction-free days. And you can see the curves are quite similar. So it seemed there was really no difference or no benefit of vitamin C. So we really had to think about what's going on here. We were quite puzzled about these two trials because we didn't expect that. I've been trying to show you how this community has built up knowledge on vitamin C over the past year. So we had a lot of observational trials and meta-analysis. We had established that these patients were basically vitamin C deficient. We've had phase 1 trials, we've had randomized control trials, and then the large 2 trials we've had in the past years, they were neutral, basically. So then we asked ourselves, what's going on here? So after having that data, do you think that vitamin C is harmful? I'm thinking, do I have time to run the test again? Or we are basically, we might as well skip that, but we can think what was going on that vitamin C was not useful in sepsis or shock. And this is a question I want to give back to you. So why might vitamin C be harmful in sepsis or shock, or why wasn't it useful? So let's see if you have any ideas on that. Okay, so we've had 2 people saying it was given too late. 3 people, too late, and too late. No idea, no idea. Okay. And then there's the issue of dosing. All right. So that is 3 very important points of discussion. And I've got another text question. I think it's the last one. So hang on. So do you have any idea of how might burn patients be different? How might burn patients benefit from vitamin C? Are there any other mechanisms that you can think of? All right, so we have the unique hypermetabolic response of burns, maybe make vitamin C effective. Then we have early start, early again, less organ failure, a different population to standard ICU, and recovery. Right, so you already know a lot of a lot of vitamin C stuff already. So that's exactly what we've been discussing. So we've had the thought that all these trials, the Citrus Ali and the Lovett trials, they were all ran in patients with infections, so due to COVID or pneumonia or sepsis, and maybe burn patients just might be different. And we cannot equal infection with inflammation, and this in turn is not the same as oxidative stress. And in pneumonia, when the patients come, they are already here in the infection state. But when burn patients arrive, they are moving from oxidative stress to inflammation, and then most of them will eventually acquire infection. So it might be that vitamin C in burn patients, if given early, is just more useful. And then speaking about early, we have to consider the timing. If it's infection and it's been developing over days and days, it might just not be useful at all. But if we talk about avoiding the oxidative stress altogether or curbing the inflammation that occurs within hours, maybe it might be more useful. So that's why we think burn patients might be a good target population. Then we have to talk about the design of the Lovett COVID and REMAP-CAP trial, because these were two trials that were combined. They had an uneven randomization, and because it was stopped due to these statistical signals, both trials were theoretically underpowered. So we have to keep this in mind. But my biggest concern with that was that the Lovett COVID trial, they had a lot of co-interventions. So most patients, more than 95%, they received corticosteroids, which is not in line with what's done in Germany, at least, and not in critically ill patients at all, because they had more than 90% in the hospital group. They weren't even on oxygen, but they already received the steroids. So we were wondering or discussing, why would patients that don't need oxygen, more than 90%, why were they even hospitalized? And what was the rationale to give them corticosteroids and vitamin C at all if they weren't even, sick enough to need oxygen at all? So burn patients that we include in the VICToRY trial, they are much more severely ill than these patients that were included in the REMAP-CAP and Lovett COVID study. So we have to keep that in mind. The severity of disease might just be greater. Okay, so I hope that you guys will discuss with us now why we should move on with the VICToRY trial. And this is my very last question to you. So please put in the chat why we should do this at all. And then please open the discussions with me. Okay, to calculate if there's a clear benefit. And if so, what populations? We should do it for our patients, healthier, and will likely benefit to learn to get an answer, because we don't know yet if it's really, really good or bad, or doesn't have an impact, whether it's beneficial or not, because we need proof that vitamin C is beneficial in burn patients. All right. So thank you everyone for participating. Also in the survey, it's with so many people participating, it's always nice to have some feedback on what we're doing here. And thank you for also being so positive. I mean, I was halfway expecting you guys to say, "Don't run the VICToRY trial, make it stop." we're harming patients, but it seems that was not the case.
Thank you, Eileen. This was wonderful. Yeah. So the slides and discussion, I enjoyed both. Thank you so much. And if you allow me just to add on this, I think I really appreciate as well with your words. I can just echo them, that we think it's not the right decision to stop complete our research in the field of vitamin C. We have clear reasons to proceed with research. We are doing this with caution. So, and this as well for you guys as well, very, very, very important to know, like, we are talking with our DMC about that. We defined stopping routes. It's a lot of going on in the back. So for those sides of you who had collected blood samples, we will reach out. So we are not talking about this right now, and organized in January transports to evaluate some biomarkers, and so we care about the safety as well of our patients. So, but there are boundaries. So we are caring about the potential harmful effects, about what has been demonstrated in the past. But we think here there's a clear, we clearly have to proceed. And it was a fantastic presentation. Thank you so much, Eileen. It's wonderful. All right. Are there any questions which you would like to discuss here from the audience, from the colleagues? Yes or no? If
I have a question. Has the coffee kicked in yet? And are those who are exhausted feeling a bit better now, or even more so? Okay, I got a thumbs up. Thank you, Emily.
Thumbs up from Emily. Great, thank you. All right, Maureen. So I think the stage is yours for the operation update right now.
Sure. Yeah, there's not
and we had some fantastic news from this weekend. Yeah. So
oh my gosh, what a incredible weekend.
4 enrollments. It was outstanding, really.
Yeah, no, excellent. Agreed. And so very, very happy. So I did want to just take a minute and say we're up to, and I know it isn't a huge jump, but 18 activated sites now. So we're happy about that. Paraguay is our most recently activated site. We've just started them. And so they should be enrolling soon. They're, busy getting screening and getting prepared. Of course, one of our other very recently activated sites is in Belgium, our site in Charleroi, and only activated a couple of months ago, but one of the 4 sites that enrolled over the weekend. So they've already enrolled 3 patients at that site alone in just a couple of months. So kudos to Dr. Serge Jens and his team there. And of course, as you said, what a great weekend with Harborview and Mercy and Merheim, the team, Yuli's team, and Cologne, Germany, enrolling as well. And so just many, many, many sites all chipping in, and thank you to all of you for your efforts all throughout the trial. So so we're up to 93 patients enrolled. So we're happy about that, and we just need to keep things rolling forward. This is just a little snapshot of the sites that are enrolling, screening and enrolling patients. And you can see the total randomized at the end of November was 88, but with those additional 5 patients in December, we're up to 93. So happy about that. This is a graph you've all seen before, our monthly randomization, actual versus projected. So at this point, with 18 sites activated, we'd be expecting to enroll about 7 patients a month. And so last month wasn't great, nor October, but some previous months that were even above our expectation. For December, we're on track, hopefully, to hit our mark or even exceed it. So keep up the great work. And we are closing that overall gap over time. So happy about that as well. And really nothing new with the reasons for exclusions. So that greater than 24 hours from admission to consent. And then patients that are moribund continue to kind of drive the reasons that patients are excluded, and then the reasons that they're not consented being, of course, the no next of kin or the recommendation of the clinical team. And really, again, we just need to be as creative as we can regarding the consent process in areas where it's allowed by your regulatory bodies to be able to do e-consent or phone consent, or even, I know there are some countries, I think like Germany, where you can do a third-party consent. And even here in Canada, our sites have received approval, some of our sites, not all of them, to do deferred consent. And so, you use whatever resources you have and just continue to do the best you can. We've recently sent out, I think, the updated study procedures manual that was in September, and the updated pharmacy manual. And so if you haven't seen that in your inbox and you'd like a copy, just either email me or Shauna or both of us, and we'll get that to you. I did try to make sure that all of the research coordinators had those resources available, as well as the updated worksheets. So I don't have any further updates regarding operational, things. We're going to be reaching out to many of our European colleagues to start initiating shipment of product and training and such after the new year. Once we've submitted all those sites to, once we have that final approval from CETUS and have submitted those sites for approval, because we want, as soon as the approval comes in, to be able to, you guys to hit the ground running. So thanks for your dedication. And as Christian has said before, patience with us with that whole process. I'm seeing some questions in the chat or comments.
So Emily shared the nice feedback that the enrollment over the weekend was e-consent. So,
yes.
Yeah, Emily, we will have to set up a meeting. So maybe you can briefly share your experience, as well as a lot of your colleagues are interested in that, how this works.
Absolutely. At our site, we are fortunate that UW has a REDCap platform that we're able to utilize for our e-consent. So we just built our consent on that platform. And this is actually the first time that we've been able to use it. There's been some other enrollments where the family had ended up coming in person, but I have to give all the credit to our RA, David Crawford. He actually was the one that came in over the weekend, and we actually were notified about the patient quite early, and we actually were looking at them for one of our other resuscitation trials that some of you may know about, but we are actually unable to get in touch with family. So those windows closed, and then he came back in the next day and then was able to make contact with father. And at that point, VICToRY was the only one that he was still open for. So it was a happy coincidence, I guess. Not that I don't want to enroll to all of my studies. I'm trying to be very egalitarian and equal access to everyone. But the consenting process was, quite easy for him. It's easy to navigate. He was able to just send a link. We do have a requirement at our site, and I don't know if this is the same at other places, but if we are using e-consent, then we have to verify the legal next of kin's identity by either having them show us their ID on a Zoom call or email that a picture of their photo ID. So it's really simple to get that done. We'll be able to update. I am waiting on that notification from our IRB. Maureen, I know you emailed me last week. I've heard it got reviewed last week. I'm just waiting from the email from my coordinator. So,
okay.
But we'll be able to update pretty easily. So, yay, good job, David.
Yeah, good job, everybody that enrolled over the weekend, for sure. Yeah, and I know Christian, Emily has shared with Shauna in the past and shared with us that her process for establishing e-consent in REDCap. So if sites have REDCap available to them, We can't put it on our REDCap, as the method center, but we can help you walk through those steps to establish it locally if you've got access to REDCap or a similar platform. So yes, thank you, Emily, for all of your support and your willingness to share your resources.
Super exciting, yeah. So
Yeah.
All right. So I think if there are no further questions about that, so we'll move on with the agenda. I think we are almost at the end already. As promised, we try to keep it short. Is there anything else which we have missed? Any open question? The last point is like we thought it's useful to share between us some upcoming next deadlines. So where are potential opportunities to meet, to have a personal exchange. We can as well chat offline about that as well if there are if you have some ideas which you want to share. So otherwise the next scheduled meeting will be in February, on February the 13th. It's a Tuesday. And yeah, are there any other meetings which I have missed here? So which are
Just don't know if anybody's going to be in Hawaii at the end of January, but
I would
apparently
wish.
there's a burn symposium in Maui. Anyway, the American Burn Association, of course, their annual meeting is in April. That's going to be in Chicago this year. The British Burn Association and the International Society of Burn are collaborating this year in August at Birmingham in the UK. The European Burn Association, I'm not sure, that's usually September, October. I know there's something going on in Portugal in October, but not sure. If anybody has more details about that, you can feel free to share. And then the Canadian Burn Conference is going to be at Niagara on the Lake in October. So and there's many other local, I know, burn meetings and conferences that go on as well. Just kind of throwing out some of the larger ones, perhaps, that if people are attending, if you can reach out and let us know, then, if there are people that are part of this network who will be there, maybe, have a small meeting when everybody's together. So
I know that Nadia is very good in that. Yeah, so to set up such meetings, to make meetings and exchanges possible. Yeah, so I think, Nadia, what is your thought? The next
No, just I know that the days for the EBA educational course in Porto are decided now. If I remember well, are the 17 and 18 of October. Anyway, I will send you the updates in the way that you can think about to make that also.
Perfect, thank you.
We can't wait, Nadia, to get you and the other Italian sites on board. We're just waiting for this final CETUS approval, and then we'll submit the sites.
Yeah, we hope to be able soon. But the main problem is at the moment that the European regulation that is okay.
Yeah. So
yes,
the problem is, one is the site investigators really have to show that they are qualified, that the certificates which they have done like 20 years ago are still valid. Yeah, so which you can imagine. So it's sometimes problematic because in the past the justification was like, hey, you did it once and then you just could justify that you have done a lot of research projects, you have participated and led a lot of clinical trials. That was sufficient as justification. Right now, you have to show that you really did an 8-hour course with this content, another 8-hour course with this content. You're submitting all of this, and all of this has a very long review time, so over months. And yeah, so clinical research is getting at this moment a bit tricky, and but anyways, I think we are almost done with this, and it shouldn't take too long. All right, if there's nothing else,
like you, Christian, I would like to take just a moment and thank Eileen for the wonderful presentation. And yeah, everybody else for your participation in that as well. So thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
I wasn't
need.
finished with this, and thank you. It was wonderful. I really enjoyed that, and the way how you presented it, and it's really important that we know about the different perspectives in the field of vitamin C right now. And thank you all. Thank you, dear team. Yeah, so for making this happen. Thank you, Eileen, for making this happen. Thank you, everyone who contributes to this trial. Happy holidays.
Thank you everyone for being here tonight as well, and happy holidays.